Hi, I am Eve, short for Evelyn. My last name is Arends. I am, I didn't prepare this and I didn't write anything down. Um, but I guess I could say I'm making a little statement about some really important things that are important to know about me. So, what I, for instance, would like to explain is how I became who I am and what I am grown up in Kidnap in Holland. Um, so to start, I'd like to honestly say that I never knew that I was kidnapped. I was just a baby when they took me, and that happens a lot. There are a lot of people that do that. And so there are a lot of people that grow up that were kidnapped baby. And a lot of times people don't even know and grow up and grow old and that's it. But in my case, I found out. And I am very happy that I did. Um, with this statement, I am trying to say some things about myself because as soon as you say you were a kidnap or a long-term kidnap or kidnapped since baby, people often don't get you or get you wrong or don't get how you still are who you are or how you learn to read and write and why you're so good at your job or why you're not always sad or crying or why you're so good at explaining yourself even. Well, I have really good reasons for most of those things, actually all of them. And yeah, I just really want to explain that. So let's begin with the beginning. A real big difference, really big difference between here in the US, where I live now in New York, and where I was when I was a kidnapped baby and grew up, which is Holland in Europe, is the schooling, the education, the social structure. I think a lot of you know, and I don't mean people that just talk about things and then say they know it. I mean people that have been a little bit educated or have traveled a little bit or have family in Holland. I'm not saying Europe. Stripe Europe. I'm saying Holland. And Holland is the Netherlands, Holland, the Dutch, not the Deutsch, that's German, but the Dutch, that's Holland. The people that were here in New York in the beginning when it was Dutch founded the Netherlands. Okay, so the basic structure of social life and education there is extremely different and on a very high level. Why am I saying that? Because that is why I am so capable. Okay, so what happened with me? Well, at first, when I grew up, my so-called family I thought I had, because I didn't know I was kidnapped, didn't want to bring me to school. I had a so-called sister that was, I guess, given the job to rule over me, was not willing to bring me to school. Now, what is the first thing that came up? Well, in Holland, kids that are in the basic administration, and they put me there with a light name, and are in there, are being monitored, let's say. And the kids have to be doing good. They have to do some things. For instance, go to school. have a checkup at the doctor, have injections against illnesses, and not have bruises or any kind of signs of abuse, mental, physical, whatever kind of abuse, and have good parents that will also be monitored. How is it done? I'm just going to explain because you don't know. That is that there are school teachers that will find out things, check up on kids, ask questions about their lives. What do they eat? What do they do? What do their parents do? Check if they're bruises, see if they're always on time and always on school, if they always smile or always cry, and figure it out. And when they figure it out, they will actually go to that home and figure out why the kid is crying, why it has bruises, what parent is possibly the bad guy, and how to change it. Because if it doesn't change, it will within a short period of time result in the removal of the kid, bringing it into a better life. Be a social worker involved, and there'll be a governmental thing involved that will actually take care. That's how it was when I grew up, and that's a long time ago. So God knows how it is now. But I think it is still the same. Well, so when I wasn't going to school as a very young child, I have a picture here. That is a picture where she actually decided that then she would have to bring me to school. She would just pretend she was really nice, change the whole kidnap feeling into be a real nice sister. I overheard because I was there. So basically that has been taking place a lot. I have been taken to school. I have been, there's another picture. I have been learning. That was good, right? And growing up. And I have been going through that system where indeed, again, the education is much better. And why do I say it? And what do I mean? Well, I don't mean that math is better in another place in the world. I don't mean that other studies are stronger. I mean what I mean, and anyone that knows Holland knows it's true, that it entangles everything that a person should sort of know. And it creates a mind of the people in Holland to want to know that and be a part of wanting to know that. So whatever comes up, whether it's how things are made, why things happen, something happened, why is that, anything and everything is a little bit reason to study. And kids learn very young to see that, to listen to a little debate about it, to see, like, for instance, on TV, a lot, all the time. For instance, a political person, a doctor, and a regular person, and a person with a problem discussing it, whatever it is, then coming to terms with it, adjusting to it, finding solutions for it, and that way informing society, the people, and even the kids how to do it. So this is a huge thing that you do not underestimate. It is that way. Everyone, even a dumber person in Holland, has got an enormous line of information and will to be informed, want to know. So that, of course, doesn't go for everyone. So if you, for instance, then go to school and you bring your kid to school and she's 5 at some point. They start, I think, 3.5. I don't know exactly. They'll start educating them about everything. How to write letters, why it is important. So it's not just to say, how are you doing? I'm doing fine, but it is to teach them the importance of the social feeling in that letter. Think about someone, someone will think about you, and be nice and then sign off. That's not only it, because also, of course, where goes the address of the person and why that is important. So that goes on when you're 6. So with me, because I was kidnapped, I had a hard time this and that, and school wasn't always nice when I grew up, a little tougher because, well, actually I couldn't handle that I got into a really silly school. That was at the time happening. It doesn't exist, I think, anymore, but in Holland at the time it did, and it was for housewives. So you learn to cook and sew, and of course languages and biology and everything else, but it was based on being a wife and or a mother. And that is also something they, again, everything is taught to kids from young on, and everybody knows how to cook already, okay? But should there be somebody didn't know, you could learn there. And I was just offended, and I hated it, and it was horrible, and I was much smarter. I like to focus on interesting things, so I really love to study if I like it. So if it is indeed about law or about business or about the space shuttle, I love that information. But when you're going to tell me endlessly about history that doesn't really ring my bell, then I don't want to know about it, and it might not be smart, but really, it is how it works. It's like you can, as a person, I'm going to get into a little deeper, if you study music and or listen to music, you could like know almost anything about a song. You know every beat, every sound of every instrument almost, or entirely, and you don't miss one spot. It's because you like it that much, right? But if you calculate the depth of maybe the thickness of a wall, because you're doing real estate, which I also tried, I also did, it might be less interesting because now you have to calculate that, and it's just not interesting enough for some people. Well, I got out of that school. I did some other things. I did some other education. And then when I was a lot bigger and I got away from the kidnappers, well, in the meantime, I have to tell you, a lot of times I picked up on letters from these people that were my kidnappers, I thought were my parents, always talking with lawyers about defending their cases for all kinds of crimes. And I used to open it all up and, love the way they represented their case, or not because it was their case and I liked the case, but because of how a lawyer writes. So how he brings it, how he brings it in deepness, and how he finds all the solutions for it, or how it will be discussed next week or next time, everything. I was a kid, I was already into law, say lawyer letters, communication mostly. So then when I do want to explain that I ran away as a kid. I actually, somebody came to me and said, "You're always crying, you're doing so bad. Why don't you just start running away? Just go to the city. There are a lot of people there. There will always be somebody to talk to. And it might even be fun, and you might even get a smile on your face." And the crazy thing is, I did. And I don't remember a lot because I was always roofied, but I did that for a long while. I met some of the people they wanted me to meet. Go over there, you'll meet somebody. Go over there, you meet somebody. And I did, and it wasn't bad, really. But I don't know exactly a lot of what happened during all these years, actually. So I went to the government, and in Holland you can get anything from the government. Insurance, money, this, that, okay, money for all kinds of things, even a washing machine. They're pretty good with people, and a place to live. and usually you have a waiting list. So then I heard there was also a place that you could ask for, and then it was more like ask for a room for rent, so not really a house. And so I went there and I asked for a really nice place, and at first they gave me a bad one. I was like, no, don't do that, you know. And then finally got a nice place, and that's where I was happy for a while. I got into new education, and really nice people lived there with, you know, normal people, business owners, smart people, intelligent people. I loved them. I remember when I'd go there, I just loved them because they have this really nice background, you know. They really have the nice parent thing with, the nice school thing, a little traveling, and then they get married to have kids, you know. I just love them. They were so easy to talk with, and so smart and intelligent and so good, considerate and fun. We mostly had fun. I went to a local pub there almost every day. I just had such a great time. But then I did also study. I started the study for, let's say, business and office. So it was office and front desk, but it was overloaded with extra, like it always is there. So you would get business, education, communication, everything, you know, problem solving, and you name it, it was there. And seriously, you would have a whole situated thing with phones, and, you know, endlessly. And God knows, everything was included. And I was supposed to do my, I don't know what you call that here, but your work experience, what do you call it? I lose the word. In Holland, it's stage. You have a period of time where you work at a business for maybe free or very little money to get that experience that you need. Well, they had a whole center with like a situated business thing where everybody was going to go. But before I was ready to go, I was almost ready after about a year of studying. It was every day study, not just once a week. You went there every day from early in the morning till 5, from 8 till 5, I think. And so after like 8 months, I was ready, and I got this real job because they, I call it headhunted me. I don't know how you call it else, but they found out that I was really good. I'm so proud of it. And I always was really good at communication and problem solving, and I am. I just want to be good at things, and then I do more, try more, and then I'm better. You know, you can do it too, right? So then I entered real estate, and I really loved it so much. I loved it so much. It was so nice. It was so nice to do. Again, these intelligent people, the nice way of they're educated. They're considering the difference. It's about I think it is engineering. So you just get real estate engineering there to do real estate. Change that a little bit now too, but back then it was very interesting, a lovely office, and a brilliant employer. I love the brilliant employer thing too. Crazy about it. So I learned a lot, and you know, I didn't even notice, but of course, everything. And tried a little here and there. Then I got back into the same business and started my real career there. And moved around. I did insurance, banking. I did a mortgage department in banking. That was fun. We had a high in the market, and so in the real estate market, and so there were a lot of applications, and so we worked through all these applications, and it was so fun. It was so stressful, but so fun and stressful, like so exciting and so hilarious and great. I would go out later and just have so much fun. That was probably the hilarious part. You need to, you know, have some fun when you work that hard. And then when I was back at the real estate job, I would do a real estate study, and that was a bit too much, I have to admit, because I went to work, went to work every day, and I got a side job for a furniture store, which was beautiful. I was in love with it. It was so beautiful. So they moved somehow their store into our real estate office and sold furniture on the side, of course, not in our office, and in the side venue of it. And I was lucky enough to work for them too. It was my favorite store. And then I also went out almost every night and networked everywhere, and it was so fun. And then I studied that engineering. I almost get tears in my eyes because I was so fun. I had the life. Unfortunately, then I had a burglary, and it continued. It started again. Once these people get a hold of you and you don't know because they roofie you. So we call it roofies now, but I called it sedated or drugged up in the past. You know, they just put something in your, let's say you're having some of this, you have a sip, ooh, that. Well, if you don't notice it really because it's well made, then they'll burglarize and do all kinds of things, and that is what then happened again. But I lost my job, and this is how I am a little bit of an overdoer. I have a lot more eagerness to be productive, good at something. I just do that. I still have my job, and that's how being kidnapped still can be a person that knows things, studied, and can read and write and all that. There are weird stories going on. That's why I'm saying that. And those are also about money and obtaining my assets or belongings, and then pretending that I don't want it, or that I was stupid or whatever. That's why I actually started this recording. So I just wanted to say that